Hello, LCPs. You're most welcome to this track where you're going to be able to understand your role as a local chapter president. I know that when you start off your role, sometimes it gets a bit hectic and a bit confusing, but hopefully by the end of this video, you'll better understand what your role as an LCP is such that you can be able to fully execute your job. So we will go through bit by bit, and I hope that you can enjoy the conversation. All right. So once again, you're welcome. And we're going to be diving deeper into your role as an LCP. Now, to start off, your role is really broken down into three facets or three parts. One is to lead, represent, and manage. So in this video, you will be able to understand your role as a president, and then also most importantly, understand how to perform optimally in your role through the other three facets that I've talked about. And I'm going to elaborate those facets a bit more. Now, when you start off, I will just start off with this visual representation. And in this pyramid of sorts, you can see that there are three corners or 3 points. And in these 3 points is what we're going to be able to break down so that you understand your role. So one is to lead, as I already said. The other is to manage. And then lastly is to represent. So as you see these sides, or as you see this pyramid, those three facets are really central to what you do as an LCP. Now, when we break it a bit further to understand what leading, managing, and representing entails, for starters, when we talk about leading, here we are looking at you being able to lead the EB and the LC towards implementation of a clear vision and a strategy. Okay, so you have to be able to ensure that your LC and the people that are part of it are able to understand the kinds of goals that you've set for yourselves and the kind of strategies that you're going to be working with. When we go to what we call managing, managing looks at the financial and human resources that you have in the organization. So being able to manage these resources in order to ensure performance, high performance of the LC by directing, of course, your EB towards the creation and implementation of the plan. So managing comes with seeing that at the end of the day, the resources that have been placed into your hands are utilized well, such that they can be able to help you achieve your goal at the end of the day. Lastly is what we call representing. Now, under representing here, you're looking at you being the face of ISEC in your LC and representing your local chapter before external stakeholders. We'll look a little bit more about the stakeholders and how you can be able to represent yourself there. So when you look at this pyramid, those are the three facets that we're talking about: leading, managing, and representing. Those are the three key areas for you as an LCVP. For you as an LCP that you're going to be focusing on. So when you talk about leading, of course, I'm going to describe this a bit further. When you talk about leading, you look at leading your LC team and your LCVPs, of which these LCVPs are just mainly within the EB team. Then when you talk about managing, you look at managing the LC team, the LCVPs, the resources that have been put into your hands, legalities, network accountability, and of course, decision-making at the local level. And then when we talk about representation, you're looking at representation at the national plenary, external partners, government, if at all you have government engagements, BOA members, TN takers, and the university. So having defined what management is, what representation is, and what leading is, these are the main points or main areas that you're going to find yourself doing these particular activities at the end of it all. So we're going to start off with the first role, and the first role is leading, okay? First and foremost, this is one of the things that you get to learn. There's always that debate whether people are born leaders or they're made leaders. Whatever you think and whatever you believe, at the end of the day, it's quite central to the work that you're going to be able to do. And of course, here it entails that you take ownership of your role and you're able to confidently execute it well. So when we go into leading, we'll start off. Of course, we've said you lead the LC team, you lead the LCVPs, you also lead the local plenary. Never forget that. Those are the kind of people around you that you're going to be leading. Now, How do you lead? And I'm just going to quickly take you through a couple of points that you have to take note of in order to lead. Remember, a leader is a reader. I think you remember that comment from someone that said it during the NOC. So a leader being a reader, at the end of the day, these are some of the key areas that you're going to be involved in. However, you need to read more about them so that you can understand them. So one is you have to have the ability to connect the past with the future through your vision and direction. Remember here, when we're in planning, during your LC planning, we helped you understand how far your LC has come in order to inform your future vision. Whenever we're doing that historical understanding. So you need to be able to appreciate and understand the past for you to inform the future. For example, if you're going to be setting a goal, you need to understand, okay, how many numbers have we ever achieved in the past and what is our reality right now that we can work with so that you can have a good direction. It's also your mandate to develop and execute a 12 months operational plan. So during planning, you are responsible really for leading your team in order to have an operational plan that you're going to work with. If you don't have any, then you're failing at your role. You're also responsible for ensuring synergies between operations. We talked about synergy mapping, again, during your LC planning. So all the departments that you have and all the departments that you have in your LC, you need to make sure that you're following up on those synergies and that people are working well and are working together so that they can achieve one particular goal. You're also in charge of conducting and organizing developmental spaces. Yes, when you feel like your members need to learn at one or two things, you're in charge of saying that actually at the end of the day, you can invite in people, experts, alumni, externals to come and talk to your LC. Management of the LC budgets is your part. You take lead on that, of course, in synergy with the LCVP Finance. However, you're very central on that. Then also capacity building for the membership. You're supposed to make sure that at the end of the day, your members are well educated and they're empowered and they know what to do, when and where. Now, of course, as a leader, you also have a mandate to influence, to motivate, to nurture your members at the end of it all. So they will always watch by you. They will always see what you're doing and they'll be motivated by it or they will be demotivated by it. Okay, so you have the mandate to also influence them towards doing certain things, okay? Maybe applying for a role, maybe delivering a particular task. Now, if you think about leading, some of the key things that you need to tick off for you in order to be confident that you're actually leading is having a team direction. Okay, so does your LC understand what the team direction is? The team direction could be that for us this year, we're going to have the best membership there is, or we're going to have the highest exchanges. That could be the direction. So does your team understand it? You already selected a team, so you're past that phase. But those that still have gaps, you're also responsible for making sure that your team is fully full. So you are responsible for making sure that team selection is done and team selection is done well. Otherwise, if that does not happen, then you're also slacking at your role. You also have a mandate of making sure that the dreams and the goals of at the end of it all, you need to make sure that you have goals and ambitions for your LC. So if you haven't planned, then at the end of the day, you need to really, really think about that. Another checklist you can tick off is if you're leading your team in LC planning, then you're doing a good job. So at the end of the that list, you're sure that your team is able to set themselves a goal and things like that. If you're ensuring LC planning, LC pipeline management, then you're also doing a good job. If you've set and you're implementing an LC culture, then you're also doing a good job at leading. So if you want to cross-check yourself and see what are the things that you're actually working at or winning at, you can come to this checklist to see if you're actually leading or there are things that you're not doing right. So moving on, we shall go to management. Wow, management. It's heavy. Remember, you have led, but now you need to manage because it's not enough for you to come and say and give direction and whatever, but now you have to manage. You have to manage how actually things are going to be done in the LC. And I know for so many of us, this is where it gets a little bit intense and funny. This is where you feel like, oh my God, my team is stretching me. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to track them. I don't know why they're saying this, they're doing the other. So it comes with management, okay? So we're going to dive deeper into what management means. Remember, when we talk about management, you're managing your LC team. Yes, you're managing your EB team, of course. And you're also managing your resources. You're managing the legalities of the LC. Hey, you are also managing the decision-making in your LC. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it can be, you know, very, very, yeah, very quite intense when it comes to managing your LC team. But those are some of the things that you need to think about. Sorry, just let me go back to my slide. Yes, those are some of the things that you need to think about when you are managing. So you need to manage decision making. Sometimes I know some of us get a bit scared of that, but at the end of the day, it is really to just help you be able to do it right. All right, so let me first represent my screen again. So at the end of it all, you have to make sure that your decision-making abilities, yeah, are well done, because every day you are in charge of actually taking decisions. Some are big, some are small. Of course, some are scary. Others can come off easy. But at the end of the day, you're the final decision maker in your LC. So we'll move on and we'll go to how to manage the LC team. Or maybe at the end of the day, what are some of the things that are going to help? So the LC team should be your first priority. Actually, to make it more specific, the EB team should be your first priority, always. When you invest in them, when you're able to train them, then it will have a trickle-down effect. So your EB team is first priority all the time. Another thing that you can do to manage your LC team well is creating cultures that work for them. So you came and planned for your cultures, but you need to make sure that these are cultures that you can actually implement and they work for your team. Make sure to define goals and strategies together. When you do it alone, they will always remain your goals and strategies. So make sure you involve your team in strategizing, in goal setting, because then they will own them. You will also be responsible for JDs and projects distribution. Yes, at the end of the day, you're the one to allocate a particular JD to an individual. Or you can even switch up JDs. At the end of the day, you're also the person who's responsible for making sure that you allocate certain projects to an individual. For example, you may wake up and tell your LCPP, okay, for this upcoming activity, you're going to be responsible. For this upcoming engagement, you're the one who's going to be responsible. So you have the mandate. You will also, again, emphasis, you will be in charge of decision-making and tracking according to the team's purpose. Now, moving on, management usually comes in two facets. One is people management, the other is performance management. Now, I'll start with people management. And people management, of course, here, the training that you're going to get in ISEP will help you really understand how to work and manage people in order to get results. Remember, you do not just have a team that is just lying there. No, you need to see that you empower them, give them a platform so that at the end of the day, they can create for you the results you want. So when it comes to people management, here you'll be the one to create, some of the things that you can do in order to manage your people well is one, create time to be together or to be with one another. Yes, to create that time. When you create that time to be together, then you can understand each other more and you can be able to appreciate each other's talents and abilities. So this can be done, for example, through team bondings. The other thing you can do is to hold regular one-to-ones. One-to-ones are individual spaces where you have a conversation with a particular team member. In these conversations, this is where you open up a space for them to be as vulnerable as possible before you and for them to share with you their frustrations, as per se. But it also creates them a space to know that you are their confidant and you are their team leader, and therefore you care about them. Most importantly, you're able to hear, listen, and feel from them directly. Sometimes things may have happened, but when you have a video personal conversation with someone, then you may find out that actually things are different. So have one-to-one spaces with them. Constantly share the impact of the organization and your vision. It is important when you're managing people, I'm telling you. where you have to constantly tell them this is where we're going, this is our vision, this is what we're working towards, so that they can see the bigger picture. Otherwise, if they do not understand what impact the organization has on them, or if they're not reminded by that, then they will slack. Guide the LC through creating very nice cultures, okay? And this can be done through your daily interactions. But remember, for you to build a good culture, you have to lead by example. Okay, if you say that every morning we're going to do a Zumba workout, just like juncture, then you should be at the forefront of that Zumba workout. Okay, I'm just giving an example as a culture. For example, you guys have your names, have your team names, so you should be at the forefront of emphasizing that. If you say your team name, you should be at the forefront of actually shouting it out or something like this. So guide your LC through building cultures, and they have to watch and see from you. Excellently deliver team standards. We have 3 team standards: building, performing, and closing. So right now you're building your team. Okay, so you need to do it well. Then they'll go into performing, and then they'll go to closing. Team standards are another part for another day. PDPs looks into sitting down with them and creating personal development plans. What do they want to be outside of ISEC, and how is ISEC helping them get to that? When you do this, then it encourages them that they're not just working for you, but they're also, they're also at the end of the day actually feel that you care about their personal growth, you care about the kind of people they're going to be after ISEC. Then always follow the compendium. If you're to manage people, friend, follow the compendium, because whenever you reference back to the rule of law, then you will have a good opportunity for you to debate out things. You will say, okay, we have to do ABCD because as per the compendium and as per what our guiding principles, this is what it tells us. So if you're to manage people, you need to reference back to that document so that it is your guiding toolkit. So having said that, at the end of the day, yes, these are some of the areas that are going to help you manage people very well. Okay, other than leading them, you need to manage and see how their work actually can be turned into results. Now, we've talked about, remember, we're still in the aspect of management, and we said that there are 2 parts here: managing people, and now we're going to talk about performance management. So performance management is seeing how do you actually get results moving, okay? And how do you get things actually working out in your LC? One is to plan. You need to really, really take off time to plan well for your LC. If you don't plan, then you're running around like a headless chicken. You don't know what to do. You don't know when to do it. You don't know who has to do it, and you don't know even at what point in time they have to do it. So it will become difficult for you. Then you need to set clear routines. Clear routines entails, when do you have weekly EB meetings, monthly meetings, when do you have POAs, and those should be consistent. So you need to make sure that at the end of the day, these routines are very well cemented in your team. Support conferences as an LCP, because at the end of the day, these conferences are learning and exposure and platforms for your members to be exposed. So in order to manage performance, you need to make sure that all your LC members attend conferences. When they attend conferences, then they're able to understand their roles deeper. They're able to gain new knowledge and understanding. And when they do that, then their performance will skyrocket. Downscale tracking tools. How are you tracking these people? If you have different tracking tools that you're using, some of which we already downscaled to you, make sure you understand them and also use them so that these people can know how they're being tracked and what they're being tracked on. Conduct LC trainings. It's important because on an ongoing basis, they need to be capacitated. They need to understand, they need to learn and unlearn. And all the time, it helps them to gain new knowledge and also understand their portfolios even more. Set clear goals. That's part of planning, but those goals need to be clear. If it is 70, then we know it's 70 at the end of the year. If it is 35, then we know that it's 35 at the end of the year. But help them also break down those goals into particular seasons. For example, you say, okay, if we have a goal of 30 realizations a year, then know how many realizations you need to have within every month. So when you break down those goals into smaller bits, then they're also able to work with that and get encouraged. Follow through with the team standards, as we already said, the other side, building, performing, and closing. These ones never get old. They really help when it comes to performance management. So here we are. We have looked at leading, managing, and now we're looking at the last part, which is representation. So, of course, at the end of the day, you as an LCP, you're the face of the organization when it comes to the LC. You will always act as a link between the LC and the external world, and you will represent the interest of your LC to the national plenary, to the global plenary, and externally. So you're the face of ISEC. That's why even if someone today went to your WhatsApp, stories, or went to your Instagram page and they saw the kind of things that you're doing, they will always attach you with the organization. So as an LCP, you also have to be very careful in terms of what you showcase to the world, because at the end of it all, you're actually the face of this organization and everyone has eyes on you. Whatever happens in your particular LC comes back to you. Okay, it's all about you, Vanessa, Emily, Jackie, Martin. So it comes back to you as an individual, as an LCP. So at the end of the day, when we look at representation, we look at external partners. For example, you're representing the organization before external partners, the government, the BOA, the university, most importantly, because these days we need to work with the university more and more. And also at events, you're the one that represents the organization. If you're invited to an external event, of course, they'll reach out to you first as LCP. So having said that, how then do you represent? First and foremost, you can represent by being the spokesperson of your LC. You have to stand up and voice your opinions on behalf of the LC. You also represent your LC on external conferences and events. That's why you should not, as an LCP, miss any event or any conference. For whatever reason, you have to be there because you're the face of the organization. You are the one that represents the ideas of your LC. Without you, then we don't trust any other voice to represent. So at the end of the day, all external engagements and activities and internal engagements and activities, you have to be at the forefront all the time. Representation also involves liaising with the MC, looking at what are some of the projects that are ongoing and how do you work with the MC at the end of the day. Also managing relationships with TN takers, university administrators, and the alumni. Yes, you are responsible for actually representing within that key area. So when we move on, you have to make sure that the interest of your membership is well represented. This is what it means to represent. You have to speak during national and regional and global interfaces. You have to ensure that you pass on the right message to the right people, okay? So if you are talking about, I don't know if you're looking at a possible partnership, are you talking to the right partners? Are you speaking the right message? Or you're misrepresenting the organization? So at the end of the day, you're actually mandated to do this. Now, representation, of course, at the end of the day, comes with even how you showcase yourselves, how you communicate, be it verbally or be it in written communication. How you communicate represents how the organization looks like or how your LC looks like. Imagine you picked up a phone call and you're talking to a partner and your grammatical structure is not rightly put. The partner will think that, okay, I think all ISECers in this LC are like that. Because if I've seen it by the LCP, then it shouldn't be any different. If you write an email communication and it's not well put, it's not clear, it is not well structured, the paragraphs are not neat, you're using capital letters everywhere, you're misplacing you're misplacing the grammar, or your subject line is very unclear, then at the end of the day, you're misrepresenting this organization and your LC, because externals will think that that's what the entire LC looks like, okay? So you have to be very careful on how you represent. When you go for partnership meetings, when you go for external meetings and engagements, how do you present yourself? Are you smartly, neatly dressed? okay? Or you jumped out of somewhere and you're all scruffy and very unneat and unkept. Are you very careful in terms of how you present yourself before externals, even to your members, by the way? Yeah, because they look up to you. How you showcase yourself is the way they're going to take you. I mean, is the way they're going to perceive you. Yeah. So these are some little things, but you need to be very mindful of. If you're coming for an LCM, are you the one that is wearing shorts and shabbily dressed? Because then in LCMs, your members will also do the same. So representation is really, really important as LCPs, and you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you're well put and you are able to show off the best version of the organization, because you can and because you have a capacity to, right? Our partners and externals will always have a lot to say when it comes to presentation. So they will always judge us based on what their first sight is. They will. And what the first sight looks like informs how they will also work with us. They will either take us seriously or they will not. So please, let's work to polish ourselves and say that we can represent well, manage well, and lead our teams well. Otherwise, we are the dreamers. We make things happen. That is who we are. So I wish you all the best, LCPs, and I hope that you can enjoy this session. Take off time to read this, to read the booklet more so that you can understand your role well. All right. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely learning space and all the best. Bye.